Hello and welcome back to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles, and once again you're stuck with me today because Neon is still not able to speak very well. He says he feels better, but his voice is terrible. My daughter says that he sounds like he's, going through puberty again. Anyway, I'm going to try to talk about the things he would normally talk about because he wanted me to do these videos. I don't know how good I'm going to be at them because they're not things I know a lot about, but I will try. This situation I do know some about because we talked about it before. We're once again talking about the Moon Studios director and some comments he made about forced DEI into gaming, saying it's a perverted approach, and then the meltdowns, around it. What he said was a lot more nuanced than that. We're going to look at it here in a second. But before we get into it any further, please like and subscribe. If you do, I'll give you a woohoo, and we're going to talk about it. So if you remember, a few days ago, we did a video on it, that there was this one person going around and it was this whole debacle where they were like making comments and saying, all this stuff against, game players and things like that. And then the director from Moon Studios had come on and said, I don't know who you are. Who are you? Because they said that they worked there. And then they said basically that they had worked, I think, like somewhere else is like another part of the process, but not actually at Moon Studios. Okay. And the comment he gave back, like it was so, aggressively hostile, and it was so, terrible and condescending. But she was being kind of a cow, and Alyssa Mercanti was making it worse. And he said that could explain it. I didn't want to cause any trouble. I just saw you posting that you worked on Ori, and I had no idea who you are. Since you're calling people names online, I thought it was important to inform people that you never actually worked for Moon Studios. And I can kind of understand where he's coming from. Because if someone was going out and they were calling people names, or they were doing things in my name, in the name of Clownfish TV, and they didn't work here, and they worked like some step along the way where they're like maybe at YouTube checking to make sure you're greenlit for ads, and then trying to claim that they were involved in our content and our videos and things and our opinions and speaking for us, I wouldn't be very happy either if I didn't know who they were. And that wasn't the case because it's giving people a false perception of the studio and of him. So this person's going on about it. They're saying that they agree with him on a lot of his points, but the way he does it and the feeding the trolls is just terrible. Because these people are the same people sending vile messages to the developer, and thousands of consultants like them, and they cheered Mauler on. And he goes around talking about different things. And then one of the things he said was, I'm still every now and then getting questions on whether we force DEI stuff into the games we're making, so let me make it clear once and for all. Absolutely not. I find that entire approach perverted. I'm an artist. I would rather quit than have someone else tell me and then they cut it off. Okay. There's a lot more to it. And then they're saying, Mauler says that he would include diverse characters if it felt right for the narrative, which is correct. That's what you should do. And that he and the team draw from personal experiences. Also write what you know. But they go on about stuff, and then she's like, well, I agree mostly with what he says. It's just, he's playing into these people about DEI and stuff is what this article goes on and on about it. Do I care about this? No. And they're talking about the character structures not being a factor in the game I play, but it highlights the absurdity of the issue. He's saying things that sound like agreement, but if No Rest for the Wicked was a little more high profile, it goes on and on about how the people that are supporting him aren't nuanced enough, unlike, this person, of course. But what actually happened? What actually happened was he basically said, I don't believe in forcing DEI. He basically said what we've been saying here at Clownfish TV, which is if the game warrants it, if the story warrants it, I prefer doing organic representation, organic things into the story instead of making it forced. They bring up Sweet Baby Inc. in the other article. Then these DEI consultancy groups that basically go in and change things to make sure it's more DEI friendly at the expense of the game. And people can sense it. And as soon as there's any whiff of possibility this is an issue or this is part of the game, or you hired a group like Sweet Baby Inc., they're not buying the games. And we're talking globally. We're not talking just the toxic chuds who vote for Trump who happen to have a penis and be white. We're not talking about them. We're talking about game players in general. Because when you're focusing, and we saw some movies and shows too, when you're focusing over checkboxes and agenda over a good story, it shows. And the whole thing is, for years, this stuff has already been, very diverse and inclusive. Gaming has been for a long time. So have shows and movies. And no one thought anything of it. It was to the point where it's so normalized, it was just accepted. And you all went and walked that back. And what you've done is hurt the people you're claiming you're trying to help, because you've taken all the strides and just reversed them and now caused bigotry when there wasn't before. So what he actually said, here's what he actually said. I'll read the whole thing. I'm still every now and then getting questions on whether we force DEI stuff into the games we're making. So let me make it clear once and for all. Absolutely not. I find that entire approach perverted. I'm an artist. I would rather quit than have someone else tell me how we should do our art. That would make a mockery out of everything I believe in. So we're putting the whole quote on here. I've been very much outspoken on how I feel about consulting, and I still strongly feel that if people haven't lived the process and don't have to think about the issues at hand 24/7, they will always deliver worse work than those who do. Meaning, if people are involved in these consultancy groups and things, are just in there wanting to change things and wanting to, like the one girl was complaining. She was like, "Well, there wasn't enough, input from other people." And that's something people were complaining about. But at the end of the day, they could take input, but something's going to work and something isn't. And it was his job to decide what was going to work and what isn't. And we all, including myself, could give our 2 cents. But at the end of the day, he's in charge of making it work. He's in charge of making it sell, and he knows what's going to work. So, my opinion might make something worse, and I might have all the best intentions, but it might make it worse and you actually have gameplay, because I don't understand it the way he does, and people that work in the industry with him do. When it comes to the stories we're telling, I always approach it from a human angle first and foremost and let the story tell me where it needs to go. Thank you. That's what we need to do. The story needs to tell you where to go. You don't need to... These movies and these shows and these games aren't working because even if you started out with a good story, there's been so much emphasis on how to put as much checkboxes in there as you can, even at the cost of the story, even at the cost of the diversity that was already there. And it ruins it. It just feels forced, and it feels like ham-fisted, and it feels like propaganda and not fun. And people are trying to play games because they want to escape, not because they want more crap shoved down their throat. And if it doesn't fit the story, or if you're changing the whole story around to accommodate it, it's not going to be good. It needs to feel like it belongs there. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And as an artist and a storyteller, I get what he's saying. I'm not going to shove crap in there that doesn't fit just to make you happy, meaning these consultancy groups, and hire you when it doesn't fit. It ruins the final product and it ruins the art. And he is not wrong. If it tickles me to have a gay character in our story and I feel like that character would be fascinating, then I'll push for that because it fits. But I would never make a character gay simply because some outside party told me that it's hip to do so, and we might face backlash if we don't. Exactly. Art fundamentally doesn't work that way. Exactly. If the character fits, it fits. If diversity and inclusion makes sense in the story and it would be the best version of that character, then great. Like my son always says that if your personality trait is only, your checkboxes, that's not a personality. A good character has a personality, and they are a person outside of happening to be gay, happening to be not white, happening to be, not male, etc., etc. It's a part of them, but it's not all they are. And I think what happens is they push for these, hip to do whatever, and they make it all about that. And we see it with films and shows all the time. They lead with the diversity and inclusion, and then it bombs. And it might have been a really good character and a really good story, but if they just let people experience the story and the character in the art form itself, people might have accepted it. You're trying to shove stuff down their throats and they don't want it. Art fundamentally doesn't work that way, correct? Everyone has stories inside of them that are based on the experiences they went through in their lives. And to me, what elevates art beyond just craft is when you've reflected enough to know who you are and then let those stories out, because those experiences that you lived through are most likely experiences that other people can relate to, that will speak to them in a profound manner because they're real. Yes, I think that's another big, disservice we're doing now. Well, they have this whole thing that you only can play a certain character if you're the same as them. You only can tell a story about a character if you're the same as them. And that's stupid. because some of the best epics ever, and this is over the course of history, are full of characters that you relate to because, oh, I understand that struggle. Oh, I know what it's like to have that happen. I know what it's like to have your friends do this. I know what it's like to have your parents do that. I know what it's like to feel lost. I know what it's like to feel this. And then that resonates with you so much stronger because you know how it feels. I mean, even when I teach, in teaching, for example, I try to present things in different ways because for it to stick and for kids to remember and for them to understand, you have to put it in a way that they can understand it. Like I could teach this high level and give examples they'll never understand, but if I can, not say dumb it down, but if I could take it to a level that they can understand and put it into something in perspective in their own lives that they can relate to and it's relatable to them, they're going to understand it so much more. It's going to stick with you. It's going to stay in your heart. You're going to remember it. You're going to have more fun. You're going to feel seen. You're going to feel like you're part of it. It makes sense. Art fundamentally doesn't work the way that these people want it to work. Exactly. Because it's not real. Ori and the Blind Forest in many ways was about me reflecting on what it was like to see my father die of cancer when I was 10. Oh, and being grateful to my mom. Wisp, on the other hand, was written when we were all started to have kids in the studio and imagining what it would be like to have a kid with a disability. Well, my nephew has a disability, so I understand that. But they're talking about it from their own perspectives. Like, the stories about what's it like when I had to see my father die of cancer when I was 10. A lot of us understand what it's like to lose somebody. You can relate to that. A lot of parents understand when you have kids and, your child might not have a disability, but there's going to be kids that they're going to encounter that do. And, how can you teach your kid to understand and be a better friend, a better person and deal with some of the disability? This makes sense. There's no reason to shove it. Oh, and they're gay. There's no reason to. Again, art doesn't work that way. I wrote the first draft of No Rest for the Wicked quite some time ago, and that also came from a very specific place. I hope that clarifies it for everyone. I've had to learn the hard way what it means to be an artist. I never let anyone take that away from me. Because you don't let people take away your voice. And the problem is, I'll tell you what, I'll take 100, 1,000, 10,000, projects from people who have a point and have a voice and have a relatable project that might have diverse characters over a, Dustborn or, Conquer, any of these games. I'll take 1,000 of these over that. And the audience is saying that too. That's why shows and TV and games, they're voting with their wallets. They don't want that. Then that doesn't mean, as he's explained, that does not mean that you cannot have characters in it that are diverse. That does not mean you can't represent difficult topics. It means it has to be authentic and organic to the project. The characters have to be more than just that. It has to come from a place that's relatable and a place that people can identify with the character on so much more other than you have to love them because, oh, you're a girl and they're a girl, so you have to like it. Or they're gay, and if you don't like it, you're bigot. It doesn't work that way. Shoving in more DEI doesn't improve anything. The best thing to do is to make an organically diverse character from the get-go that people understand and relate to. It's really not rocket science, and this person is completely right. Art does not work that way. And being real and being relatable is what people relate to and understand. And don't tell me that we need consulting places and DEI shoved into anything, because all it has done is turn people against people that are, diverse and inclusive, because they're like, oh, you just got the job because you're this, that, or the other. Or, oh my God, we have to hear more stories about this, that, and the other. And it's harmful. It's not good. It's not good art. It's not fun. And you know what? I'm not talking about just me. I just want people who are diverse who agree with me. It's not hard. Anyway, I wanted to cover it as best I could from my point of view, since Neon usually covers it from a more logical game playing perspective. But from my point of view, I think this person is completely correct. As an artist, an art teacher, a mom, just teacher in general, working with kids, working with kids with disabilities, having my own, life experiences, knowing what I've loved as a child, like growing up, I didn't need a Rey Palpatine. Sorry, she's not a Skywalker, because I'm a woman. I was fine with Luke Skywalker because there was enough things about his journey that I could understand and relate to and love anyway. I don't need her to have tits or the character to look like me just so I can relate to it. Because the human experience is, I think there's more we have in common than we have that we are different on. And I think if you look, you can find things that everybody can understand and relate to. Because there's a lot of things in life we all share. or a lot of people will share similar experiences, and you can touch people's hearts and show them art and show them something fun and let them be part of it without having to be exactly like them. Anyway, please comment and let us know what you think, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt on our website. You'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.